All right, today we're diving into something really critical, a stage of deep meditation that a lot of people misunderstand, hallucinations. Our guide for this is going to be Chapter 3, Section 5 of the book Zazen, which honestly gives us a super clear map through this tricky territory. So, what happens when meditation gets, well, weird? Because let's be real, if you're serious about this path, you know it's not always just peace and bliss. There are moments when your own mind starts throwing some really strange, vivid, and sometimes downright scary stuff at you. And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. This quote, this is a real direct account from the author. He's describing this absolutely terrifying battle scene that just exploded in his mind while meditating. It's a powerful reminder that these things feel incredibly real, they're visceral, and they can shake you right to your core. And that experience right there is exactly why the author gives us this critical warning. He's basically saying, hey, pay attention. Understanding this stuff isn't just some intellectual game. It is absolutely essential if you want to navigate this path without getting completely lost or thrown off track by what your own mind is cooking up. Okay, so the text breaks these things down into two main categories. First, you have what it calls external demons. These are described as pretty rare, maybe happening if you're trying to gain supernatural powers. But then there's the second category, which is way more common, internal demons. And these aren't literal demons, of course. They're projections from our own minds, and that's what we're really going to focus on today. So that's the big question, right? If these demons are coming from inside us, where exactly do they come from? Well, the text treats it like an investigation. It gives us a really clear, step-by-step breakdown of where these mental projections actually originate. And it all boils down to three main sources, all tied to time. You can think of these hallucinations as the ghosts of your own mind. They're echoes from your past, leftover sensory impressions. They're driven by the primal desires of your present moments, and they're fueled by your intense hopes and expectations for the future. Let's tackle the future first. The idea here is that if you want something to happen so badly, an intense, deep longing, that very desire can be powerful enough to create a super vivid, almost dreamlike hallucination when you're deep in meditation. And the author shares this really touching, personal story to make the point. It's about his grandmother. In her last year, she missed him so much. Her longing for him to come home was so powerful that she would literally see him. She'd get up and tell his mom, he's back, go cook for him. It's just, wow. It's a perfect example of how our hopes can literally create a reality we can see and feel. All right, because cause number 2 is all about the present moment. We're talking about our most basic, primal desires. Hunger, thirst, lust. If any of these are really strong while you're sitting, your mind can just project them. Suddenly you might taste the most amazing food or see a beautiful person. It's basically your mind trying to scratch an itch to satisfy a craving it has right now. Okay, now we get to the third cause, and this one is the big one. It's the most significant of the three, past impressions. Think of it like this. Everything you've ever seen, heard, or felt, it doesn't just vanish. It leaves a residue, an echo, imprinted on your senses. And the author gives a great example for this, and it's super relatable. He talks about how he used to spend hours playing video games in an arcade, and later when he'd go home and close his eyes, he could still see the game playing out perfectly in his mind. That's exactly what a residual impression is. It's a sensory echo replaying itself. And here's the crucial part. That same mechanism is what can project a horrific battlefield scene. To the mind, it's all the same. It's just replaying an old recording it has stored away. So when you put it all together, what does it tell us? The analysis is pretty clear. Most of these hallucinations, these projections, are coming from our past and our present. Those past impressions and current desires, they make up the huge majority of these experiences. Our hopes for the future, while definitely powerful, seem to play a smaller part in all this. All right, so now we know why they happen, but the next logical question is, how do you spot them when they're actually happening? How do you recognize them for what they are? Well, the text gives us a really practical field guide for this, and it breaks everything down by which sense is being fooled. Let's start with sight, with visual hallucinations. The rule of thumb here is incredibly simple. If you could draw a picture of it, it's false. Doesn't matter if it's that terrifying battlefield, a beautiful woman dancing, or even a glowing golden Buddha. If it's an image you can see, the instruction is crystal clear. It's an illusion. Don't engage with it. And the exact same logic applies to your sense of hearing. The rule for sound? If you could, in theory, record it and play it back, then it's false. This covers the whole spectrum, from scary, ghostly wails or voices cursing you, all the way to the most beautiful music you've ever heard, or even a wise voice giving you profound teachings. It's all just sound, and it's all an illusion. Now for the body, for tactile stuff. The rule here is even more blunt. Any sensation, good or bad, is false. So that feeling of your body burning or being torn apart, it's just as unreal as the amazing sensation of growing wings and flying, or the most comforting, seductive touch you can imagine. Both extremes are just mental projections, period. Okay, so we've just gone through all this analysis, right? Differentiating between sights and sounds and feelings, it can seem complicated. But now the text gives us the master key, the one simple rule that just cuts through all of that confusion. And here it is. The truth is, you don't actually need to differentiate. You don't need to analyze if it's a sight or a sound. The master key is to realize that everything that arises is false. Every single experience. The good, the bad, the scary, the blissful, all of it. So what do? Simple. Just don't pay any attention to them. But hold on, because the journey doesn't stop there. As your practice gets deeper, a lot of that scary, chaotic stuff starts to fade away. And that's when a new challenge appears, one that's much more subtle. The text calls this the final deceptive test. You see, the illusions themselves change. In the early stages, they're often terrifying, right? They're rooted in old traumas. But the late-stage illusions, they're different. They tend to be pleasant, even profound. They feel like real spiritual breakthroughs. And that's what makes them such subtle, seductive traps. The text points to 3 big signs of this advanced stage. You might experience your body giving off a beautiful fragrance, or you might feel like you're levitating off your cushion, or you might see your body glowing with light. The danger here isn't the experience itself. It's that you start to believe it's a real sign of achievement. The second you get attached, the moment you feel pride, your progress just stops. You're stuck. So after all that, what's the big picture here? It's about changing our perspective. We need to stop seeing these hallucinations as obstacles or problems. Instead, we should see them as signposts. Recognizing them and letting them go is the path. That's how you make progress. All right, let's wrap this up with the key takeaways. First, remember that these experiences are actually predictable signs of progress, so there's nothing to be afraid of. They're just echoes of your past, present, and future. Second, the master key is to treat everything that comes up as false and just don't get attached. And finally, moving past these illusions isn't a detour. It's the main road that leads you to deeper insight, to what the text calls the third dhyana. And that really leaves us with one final powerful question to think about. If all of this stuff, the terrifying visions, the beautiful sounds, the profound feelings, if it's all just a projection, the last gasps of a restless mind, then what's on the other side? What lies beyond all the illusions that your own mind creates?